phone to try to get a matchup with Ngannou. Down goes the Reem! Francis Ngannou!
Holy like, this guy is for real. He didn't just do that to any guy. He did that to Alistair Overeem.
I was about 10 years old when I started that, because I was in the village and where I grew up. After leaving my aunt's house, I went to my grandma, and we had to do something. We had to work to contribute at home, to buy oil, to buy food. I was frustrated to look around and see other kids looking good. They went in vacation to this family member, came back with all brand new stuff, and I was just there looking crabby. When school starts all the time, I'm gonna go to school, and most of the time still didn't have a pen to take note or a notebook to write on it. Sometimes no shoes or clothes, just have to wear my uniform was tear all over. I didn't like my life, and I always feel like I miss my childhood. Like it's something missing in it, because it's been too much frustration in my life. Like I had to work by that age, and it wasn't enough. I was subject of shame to other kids. Because all the time when they kick you out in front of 50, 60 students, it's not a good thing, and I couldn't have a friend, because you know how things work. I was always in retreat, I always stay in retreat, and that's how I technically grew up by myself. I end up not even trying to have a friend. I'm like, okay, this is my situation. Maybe I feel okay, just retreat myself. I deserve what I have. I work hard for it, and they don't deserve. They are just a kids.
Right.
They work, and their parents provide for them. I'm not just lucky. I'm not just lucky to have the chance, but I'm still trying, which means I'm not bad. That motivated me at some point. I'm like, 10, look, these kids, they are looking at me like I worth nothing. But technically, I worth more than them, because I'm working, even though what I have is less than what they have. I was full of frustration, and I want to drive this into something. I have to prove them. I can't go to the party, I can't have friends as anyone, and I have to work hard than anyone. I have to wake up at 5, just get ready, start work, sometimes with not eating. Then I get to school, and the school close at maybe 4 to 5. But since I didn't eat in the morning, by noon, 1 or 2, I'm hungry, I'm starving also for our scholarship, for books. So you have to work. And that's how we started. Even though that work was meant for adults, but we didn't have any option. So we take what we had at the time when they don't want to work, so we have a chance to work. Otherwise, they will come back to their job. We will not have job.
Right.
So that was a good opportunity to work under the rain all the time, get back home shaking. We have 2 seasons, a wet season and dry season, and that's a wet season, so it's almost rain all the time. Kids go to vacation and all this stuff. Adult doesn't want to work because it's raining all the time. Guess what? That was our opportunity. You have to stay active, because as soon as you stop working, moving, you get cold, you just get freezing. So you get active. It forces you to stay active and to work even more. And our employer will love that, because you work even more than normal. Growing up, I was just finding my way to survive. Then I end up finding myself in somewhere that I never been there, so the experience was just crazy. And I remember, basically, like at first when I went in the martial art, it was just for fun, to curiosity. I'm like, oh, it's fun, oh, it's good. I like those kick, or but I didn't like seeing myself being a UFC fighter. Videos that he will forward to the UFC and they'll say like, yes, but he hasn't fight nobody tough yet. Yeah, he hasn't get a real test yet until I fought this guy in Bahrain named William Badulke. That was my coach. Fernand by the time was working with a manager named Thiago, a Brazilian guy. So they kind of like push. Thiago has a connection with he was a manager, so Fernand was all the time sending him a text message. People was like, oh, if you put yourself into this, you can become a UFC fighter and a UFC champion. You can have a UFC belt wrapped around your waist. I'm like, whatever, Didn't care about it until I have the UFC contract. Like 2 years after that, I'm like, okay, this might be the opportunity that I have been looking for. So it's time to capitalize and showcase my talent and show the world and shock the world. This is the time to take my opportunity to showcase my talent, to prove that I can do something. Then I'm like, okay, so what is this? What it is about MMA? How MMA works? What is the rules? How it goes? And I couldn't get it. Like, didn't know the rules. It's been a long road, Nobody could have imagined, basically, from looking back from my life, that we're gonna get here. Today I have to talk with great people around the world. Very quick rise, and didn't spend enough time in the octagon to like have those experience. Even though I was almost like he was almost 4 years, 3 years and a half since 4 years that I'd been doing the sport, but didn't spend enough time in the octagon to have that experience. I had two different feelings from that fight. First, obviously, I was very upset and disappointed that I didn't win the fight. And as everyone who is fighting for the title, you want to get out there as a victorious. Even though I was in the level of fighting for the world title, but I still have some missing part in my game and in my experience. I remember I was questioning myself, like, okay, how did it look like to go into 3 rounds? Basically, I'm to a potential 5 rounds that I never been in 3 rounds. How did it look like? How is it to prepare for this kind of fight? And I had this fight like 6 weeks earlier, so I was having a lot of questions. I always look in that fight, and since the fight day, just after the fight, I look at it and I'm like, this is good. Like, I learned just too much in that fight. And after that fight, that night, I'm like, okay, I get it. In one night, I have I cover more than what I've been spending in the octagon for the rest of my career. Some people get here while they've been while they've been having athlete lives for a long time, maybe wrestling,
right,
maybe doing some different sport at school or at college, but I never get into that stuff, you know. I knock him out in the second round, then I get my UFC contract after that. That was a crazy experience. You know, I didn't even know the rules back then. I remember I was in Orlando, and I'm like, man, this is the time. Like, I'm going to fight to be seen in the whole world. Every time that I go back home, I will go back to all those places that I used to work there. I hated this thing growing up. Oh, you can imagine. I hated the sandmine, everything. I hated my life. But today, it seems like a fuel for my life today. Most people there are still people that we grew up together. And he allows me to see how far I came from. You know, like, I think it's the moment that I enjoy the most is like those moments, you know, going back. I can go there and live in the 5-star hotel, do some crazy stuff, but he doesn't. I don't enjoy that as much. Like, I don't know how to. Explain it, but I always do it. Like, I always go back to the sandmine. This is like a tradition. It's kind of like taking my revenge of life. Like, okay, I used to be here thinking this, thinking that, dreaming of this, dreaming of that. Today I have this. Look, that's my car. Look, that's my truck. It's like living a dream.
Yeah.
Because back then, that was just a dream. A crazy dream. Unbelievable. So I'm living into it right now. Like, yes, doing this 20 years ago, I was dreaming like, man, how it is to be in the airplane, going somewhere. Imagine yourself being in the airplane, going to America. I like to like tell this kid, like, listen, I'm not a fairy tale. I'm not a story that you watch on TV or that you read in the book. I'm a fact. I grew up here. Most of you knew me before I even live here. As long as you believe in something, in a dream, as long as you have a dream and believe in yourself, I think a success is just a matter of time.